So motivation for doing anything varies from person to person. However, there are two primary schools of thought in motivation. There's intrinsic motivation, which is where the person is able to motivate themselves to do things. And then there's extrinsic motivation. I am an intrinsically motivated person. I enjoy my personal accomplishments, and those alone are enough for me to convince myself to do something. In contrast, extrinsic motivation is the type of person that they need to see a reward. They need to be given something in order to do it. I notice a lot of my students tend to be more extrinsically motivated, like getting candy after doing a certain project, or doing well on a certain project, or doing things like that. So first, I guess I'll start off with going like things that help me as an intrinsically motivated person, and then I'll go into suggestions on extrinsic motivation. Because I am intrinsically motivated, personal accomplishments matter a lot to me. So, for example, I might do little things to help me keep track of the little accomplishments I made in the day. And if you can look back in your day and see that you've done a lot, then that's going to make you feel better about yourself and make you feel motivated to continue to do more things instead of just sitting unmotivated and not willing to do things. For example, I make a list of things to do, and sure, that list may be long at first, but if you include a lot of simple things that are mixed in that list so you easily cross things off, you can see that you're making accomplishments, such as little things like making your bed. Actually, I've run into this a couple times, but the idea that being the first thing you do is making your bed is a really good way to set the day off right in terms of motivation, because even no matter how bad your day is at the end, when you get back, something is in order, right? It's showing you that you have something, that you've done something. And so the idea is that with a mixture of a long list of things to do, some easy and some harder, you can sort of motivate yourself by seeing how much you've accomplished in a day and sort of challenging yourself to meet further accomplishment by doing more of the things you need to do. Fortunately, I don't have my to-do list with me right now, otherwise I totally would put it up in front of the camera and sort of show you, but because I am between classes, between semesters. But what I'll do is I'll have a little short line, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, have a list of things I need to get done, and sort of use that to plot out for my week what I need to do in what order, so that way I'm not overwhelmed in any one day, while still giving time for a break, like during the weekend or things like that. But by doing that, not only do I create a plan and commit myself to an objective, but it creates that list that I can draw from accomplishments and motivation. So I wake up in the morning and I know it needs to be done, and I can sort of organize my day around that. So it becomes sort of the centerpiece that creates an organizational plan for my day, sort of helps me know what I need to get done, and it becomes the basis for measuring my accomplishments for the day. Now, being how small and messy my handwriting is, I fit a whole semester's worth of to-do lists in one page, one side. But so, like, I remember in undergrad, sometimes the list would be like 10 objects long, and I would just be finding little things to do to just cross off that list and get as much of it done as I can. Because even if I couldn't get the whole list done today, I can get over half of it. That shows I'm making a lot of progress. And also by having the little to-do list with like a little deadline present, it's like, oh, the deadline's coming up, I really need to get this done. Sort of see it more visually and not just abstractly in the head. It's also easier to keep track that way. You're less likely to forget. And so that's how I, as an intrinsically motivated person, operate. And honestly, intrinsically motivated people are more successful in things like online classes, because you're sort of putting the burden of doing the works on yourself. So you sort of naturally need to make that to-do list, or sort of prioritize and make those objectives yourself. And that if you need to succeed in that, with extrinsic motivation requires a lot of extra steps. With intrinsic motivation, you just need to organize for yourself, and you can do your plan of attack then. So for extrinsic motivation, the person needs a reward or something given for making an accomplishment. One classic example is if, like, say, a race does like a participant's medal for just doing the race, rather than doing it solely for that meet the accomplishment of top 3, or like best in their age group, and so on and so forth. Extrinsic motivation is okay. It just means that you're not going to look at the task at hand itself and then think, oh, I need to do that task and I'll be accomplished by getting it done. It's like, no, I need something to reinforce me to get that done. I need something that is worth it, because right now, seeing the task itself, I don't think it's worth doing. And so, if you're an extrinsically motivated person, Aaron, that's fine. It's just you need to figure out for yourself what is that proper extrinsic motivator, and then pursue that course of action to make it so that way you do not get that reward unless you complete the tasks that you need to complete. And then what underlies all of this is the concept of priorities. Something is only a priority if you make it a priority. And you use motivation or tools to make you motivated so that way you can achieve the priorities that are necessary. In life, we have things that are naturally motivated to do and things that we're naturally not motivated to do. Um, I'm naturally motivated to do government. I am not so naturally motivated to try to learn calculus. So I probably would need more of an extrinsic motivation sort of tactic for me to ever want to learn calculus than I would say for learning more about government because I went and pursued graduate government on my own. Um, but that's just in my case example. Um, whatever is a priority to you is going to be easier for you to intrinsically motivate yourself to do. And if that's not enough, then you might need the extrinsic motivation enforcement. Another encouraging factor for you to accomplish more is accountability. In faith, we call this discipleship. Our community of believers in Christ who we engage with that hold us accountable to walking in the faith and making sure that we are continuing to strive to follow God. Accountability is what sort of holds what you do to light so that way you end up doing what needs to be done, even though it may be hard for you, because without that pressure, without almost peer pressure to do good. So without that good peer pressure, you're probably not going to meet the accomplishments you need. But with good discipleship, with someone who's able to understand your experiences while also challenging you to improve yourself, that's a good external way to push you to um, doing more, to being more motivated. And I would heavily suggest not just in your material and everyday tasks, but finding someone to disciple you in your faith, because that's what's going to do an effective job of holding you accountable. Because then you pretty much place someone to answer to in how you behave and how you act. Anyway, those are just my thoughts off the top of my head on motivation. I look forward to seeing all y'all's responses. Have a good week.